Wait, we know what you're talking about. Maybe
You know what it looks like.
We
are live.
Is that your
It looks like that.
Yeah.
All right, we're good, Mike.
Morning, everyone. Call the Local Development Corporation to order this morning. It is Thursday, July 16th, 2026. First order of business is to review and approve the board minutes from June 25th. We need a motion and a second. Needs to be on the motion. Thank you. Second. Peter, thank you very much. Any changes, suggestions? Seeing none, I'll call that question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry, guys, I bounced across the agenda a bit.
Like, I think we also just need to note that for the record, we are not live, we're recording the session.
Okay.
Because of issue.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Moving on to the next order of business, the financial update. Tina, would like to share some insights with us.
So highlights of financials from June. So looking at our balance sheets, we have a fund balance of $1,569,000. So lowered it up from last month. Currently, in cash, we have a little over 300,000. Our accounts receivable is $31,650. That is entirely late fees and what we're doing from the county. I just have delay getting checks signed to that. So once I can submit the checks, then I can seek reimbursement from the county. We have, so from our loans, we expect to collect $326,894. That takes into account what we accounted for doubtful accounts. So that's the total accounts receivable, including our contract at $358,544. Under current assets, that $909,000, that is what is currently in CDs. Mike did mention some high interest, high yield CDs that we could access online that I have not had a chance to. So we did have a CD that matured early June, and I re-enrolled it for one more year. Our next CD will mature in August. And I might actually not reinvest that just to keep her not in total, so that we have some like the in the Glens Falls accounts, or at least transfer somewhere. I also do think I had a little trouble reconciling those accounts. I wasn't able to get to the bottom of it by the time I had to post the financials. So I do think there is a small mistake in that balance, something about how I reported the interest. So I'll follow up on that, but I do want that. I think that might change next month. Accounts payable, that $1,000 that you see, that's a placeholder. So for legal expenses, there's always a lag billing, and I am expecting some legal expenses. We did ask Kara to start proceedings, litigation for Kirsch. So that's a placeholder. That amount may change, may go up, down, and the rest of the figures are much the same. Nothing's changed in our report designated fund. Moving to the statement of activities for the month of June, our total income was $8,369. That's our investment income. So we've used a CD. We that and our loan payments and the contract payment. Actually, there's no contract. Is there? Oh, the contract payment is accounted for. We have actually. No other major expenses. Moving to the statement of activities for the year, our total investment income is just under $7,000. Our total income is $51,000, so it's a little bit over, but $5,000 over what we budgeted. A lot of that MSC has to do with we did expect the interest rates to go much lower on the CDs. That's about it for the highlights, really. All loans, we have currently 5 loans, and 3 of them are current. One of them is making reduced monthly payments, and of course, Kirsten's not making payments. Are there any questions on the financials so far?
So before I forget, why don't we just call a motion to With financials. David, thank you. Second by Peter. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries also.
So update on the loans, as I said, there's 3 that are current, for Kirsch, I reached out to Kara, I don't have. An update on actions, they're looking into a few options that might get us in default judgment, in a more efficient manner, but
Well, I can update you. I saw Carol. So, since the last time we met, essentially what's happening is they're proceeding with direct contact so that they can confirm receipt of the pending legal action. They haven't been successful at finding any response that they can certify, whether that's attorneys or principals in the business. So that process continues. If that process, if they're not able to assure that those things have been received, they still get filed with the state, and liens would essentially go into place against both the LLC that operates under that name, as well as any guarantors who are listed in the state's documents. In this particular case, one of those guarantors is Donnie. And so what would essentially happen at that point is any business under, or any transaction that attempts to be done in the state financially under either the business's name or Donnie's name would then be subject to that lien. I actually think we're more likely to succeed on this path than we are formally pursuing if they had a lawyer and were working with us. But essentially what that means is that Donnie can't do anything in the state without having to address that concern. I don't know the total limitations of that, but having an existing lien against him will also affect him in a variety of other ways. For instance, when his credit is checked or there's other investment due diligence that's done. I suspect that's the greatest leverage that we could have here. I still imagine that we're gonna wind up settling, even in the best case, for something that's less than the full amount. But right now, there isn't any party to negotiate or discuss a settlement with, so the liens wait for the full amount. Well, we can proceed with attempting to collect that, but that would have its own legal process that Carol will have to talk about. In order for us to gain access to the site where it is, we would have to find who we're then notifying and either gain permission or seek some kind of legal document that suggests that we have the right to go get it. And then we would have to take possession of it, store it, and sell it. All of which would have some cost associated with it. We're not at that point yet to determine what our options are, but I suspect that in that process, some amount of fleshing this out would occur, and we would be able to have some discussions with somebody that says, well, what if we were to sell that, for instance, still continuing to allow it to be cited here, sell it within a certain period of time. Carol will have to tell us what the boundaries are of that are, but even in that case, I suspect that will not fully satisfy the debt. In fact, it will probably only represent a fraction.
Mizzou is getting a new real estate agent to help them sell that property.
Best chance of us collecting with Mizzou is for them to sell the farm. They are continuing to operate. Their product is still available in Whole Foods. It's available less locally than it once was, but you can still find it in certain places. I would say their production is probably somewhere around 30 or 40% of what it was at its peak. They continue to operate the hitching post, but in a way that's hard for me to discern exactly what the schedule is. So there's cash coming into the organization, and there's, they're making rudimentary payments on their loan, and they're in dialogue with us. But our ability to collect on some or all of their debt will likely be tied to their ability to sell their greatest asset, which is the farm. And the agent that they had before had not been successful, so they've gone through a process of looking for a different one. They actually talked to us about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I should.
Well, I think it's easy enough to find out because you can go look at what the property is, but I mean, we,
Abby,
so she operates south of here, but has experience with these kind of properties. We were a participant and offered our views of whether or not we thought that had a better chance of success than what they were doing before. Obviously, they don't have to do anything we tell them, but we did offer what we could, and we did do some vetting to make sure that we felt comfortable that that would be somebody we thought represented our interests well. I mean, ultimately, it's gonna come down to whether or not they're willing to accept whatever offer comes as opposed to what they may be trying to recover. Property is always valuable, but they're not,
up to bones.
yeah, I mean, it's a
They got
special
high.
buyer.
Yeah, they got a high price too.
Well, I suspect that somebody, especially with a new agent, may come in and make an offer that maybe isn't their full asking and.
Changes every day.
I don't know, so Abby works in Greenfield a lot, in that area, so I don't know what kind of contact she has.
They're all the same. They put it in one MLS, everybody sees it. So, the only thing is.
So what good are agents, I guess?
Well, no, because something like that is more leaned more towards commercial. So. Like, I don't get into Cyreb or there's one other one, those are the commercial sites. People like Bob Sears and Nick down here. Mark Levesque, they're all in the commercial site, so that's probably what you're gonna look at for. Rarely will someone go and spend that kind of money for a farm up in third. Unless they got land.
It may be that somebody wants to procure land there and make an offer, and I suspect that's the likely thing to occur.
Well, maybe the next agent will put in better pictures. Cause I'm telling you, those pictures were very attractive. It almost looked like a kind of a press lot. Kind of unkempt and.
Well, yeah, the truth sometimes hurts there, I guess.
Well, I'm sure that the agent told her, So she probably is in the commercial sites too. Maybe not, I don't know.
Well, I do think our best chance of recovering here is to try to support the sale of that property, and so we continue to try to do that. And as long as they continue to make rudimentary payments, we will continue to monitor that.
That's cheap.
Well, I've been by there a few times in the last couple of months, and there's cars out there.
No, but I mean, they. Yeah.
You will go on to the next slide.
So the next in the back of your packets, you have a letter from BSNB, so Boston Spa National Bank, they're merged with the National Bank of Saudi, which was the bank that had the what do we call that, the primary loan for overblind weekender, North Country, North Creek. Whatever, we don't.
Resort holding.
Yeah, we're holding the weekend. So as per the resolution that was passed in 2025 and the loan was approved, they got the first disbursement of 50,000 at the approval of the loan, and the second 50,000 was contingent upon the full disbursement of the primary loan. So this letter confirms the full disbursement of the primary loan. So I do have a check here for 50,000. And I honestly, I don't need approval, I'm just letting you guys know because it's already been approved as per the resolution. So it just needs to be.
We've had a lot of back and forth with Kier, and one of the things that we've also looked to do is schedule a site visit with both him and on the Zoom.
All of them actually, I don't know.
Yeah, but Kier's been very engaged with us over the last week.
Well, it's funny, I think
Anybody
we're
who
gonna
wants
make
to-
a schedule before I do.
Yes, yes.
I do want to share that this letter from the bank addressed to Kier came in an earlier version, and it was addressed to Kier Starmer, which I was. Okay,
If you don't know British politics, then maybe that's not as good.
he was the 8th prime minister of Britain.
Yeah, but was
In the last 2 years.
recently the victim of a no confidence vote and it's no longer.
Well, that's all I have.
So one other thing on Weekender is that we just extended a series of invitations to an advisory board. That's associated with the EDC, and one of those is for Kieran in that particular facility in North Creek. Actually bring either a general manager or somebody from their management team onto an advisory board that would be part of the EDC community in an ongoing way. I think that will help strengthen our communication and language with them.
Do an update on, that's enough.
Well, before we go there, in terms of what's going on with the weekend, or what is timing to be fully open? And then get,
Well, he refers to a fall date now. He hasn't disclosed what that date is. And they had taken events bookings for at least August. So I don't know whether they've pushed those off or not.
Come to the floor. The site visit.
Those are the things we'll start.
sorry,
Well, so
I'm gonna get it booked in, so I'll get the dates for everyone and send it out, and I think normally it's just me, I think it'd be nice for Marcus to come, but.
you just need to make sure that it's not a quorum.
Mark lived up there.
So,
No, he used to come to,
oh,
they'll make sure.
we can't have more than 3 of you. Because otherwise it will become a public meeting.
Let's coordinate with, yeah,
and maybe for last weekend.
You wanted to talk about,
Warrensburg.
one of you said something about,
Warrensburg.
yeah.
Well, so in Warrensburg, we have the pre-development loan with Jared Foster, that building, I think. We talked about this last month, the building had to be demolished, so it was starting to crumble while they were doing the. Like analysis for historic tax credits, and so the building was demolished. I think I'm gonna let you take it from there.
So there was a contractor that was secured to do the demo work. In the process of doing the demo work, the site was flagged for well, I mean, for some form of contamination, which ultimately had to do with the asbestos material which was there, and I think everyone knew it was there. So essentially, we met with Derek, and we also met with Kevin Garrity in Warrensburg to try to understand what the situation was and status. When I met with Derek, he was very forthright about the fact that he was essentially taking counsel on who to engage in and how to do it from only one party. And so we've tried to extend the number of people who are giving him input. I introduced him to Suzanne Tyler, who leads the Warrensburg Chamber, and who also has a role with Warrensburg Town. And she's agreed to meet with him, and I asked him to not proceed with anything that he does, whether it's contracting with anybody or engaging with the town without trying to seek some support from her, and then she can call on us in any way if we can be of additional assistance. When I met with Kevin, that seemed to make him more at ease, that he was getting advice from more than just his neighbor there.
He's also working with that degree, the same, I don't know, what that kind of.
Well, they're a consultant that's involved in the comprehensive plan follow-up in Warrensburg.
They can access the grant program, so he's reached out to them to see if they can help align him with someone to help with state grants.
So let's just net this all out. Kevin was concerned, and understandably so, that there was a site in his town where, you know, something had been flagged by the state and had been shut down. That's a function of choosing, I think, the wrong vendor. In order to address that going forward, what we try to do is put a support system around him to where he has more people providing him with input, and we feel more comfortable with the advice he's being given. I still believe, Kevin told me he's very supportive of the project. He just wants to make sure it's done appropriately and well. I think Derek is still fully intent on doing this, but he's had to scale it back based on some of the initial feedback he had from the town. The number of units may not be, he may not be able to go to 3 stories, and he may not have the total number of units. I think all of that will come out after they get the site appropriately cleaned up, and then go through a formal planning process with the town.
Who tore that building down?
I don't know the name
The
of
He
it.
law-
worked with a local, we did not ask the name, but he worked with someone. He wanted
It's,
to.
it's somebody who is known in that community and maybe not in the best way.
Oh, I know what you're talking about
Oh,
We saw the local player, he chose. Maybe not,
Yeah.
we would have recommended. And that's part of the challenge of that site, but at this point, they'll have to do whatever it takes in order to clear it with the state before they can move forward, and he's already moved through that vendor to.
it's the challenge of working in those small communities, and it's where we bring value to, and the nice that we have in touch with them before you make that choice, but.
I think we still have a very well-intentioned builder trying to add capacity. Basically, listen, he runs a cleaning company and he's trying to expand his cleaning company into this corridor, and he wants to build housing that would situate people that would work for him. It's very similar to conversations we're having with people in other communities, like Horicon, who have a very similar approach. I think his intention is good. I think the property would support that, and now we just gotta help him execute.
Any other questions, comments? Moving over to Jim and the report.
So we have done some additional work around the whole entrepreneurial agenda that we kind of went through in detail with you at a previous meeting. Bob Bullock was here to talk about that. We've begun to put together both the advisory board, which will be part of this, and we've started the process of scheduling the first entrepreneurial meeting. We've also identified 5 companies that operate in the Adirondack region that have the potential of scaling, not all of which are in Warren County, but have been people who have sought our support. I don't think the LDC can provide support to anybody who's based out of Warren County, but in the effort of trying to attract the state's attention to supporting some of these rural-based initiatives, there's a leader that's been made a part of Empire State Development that has a specific fund that's dedicated to the North Country and Adirondack Park startup investment. So in order for us to build a portfolio that we could start to address with that person, we've looked at what we think of the things that we've been exposed to, what are the handful of opportunities we think have the best opportunity to scale and would be appropriate to seek outside investment for. Several of them are in Warren County, some of them are not. I know this can get confusing. So the EDC will wind up doing the work on those that are outside of it, if we can help funnel money to it. But usually they're companies that are right outside the border, like right on the other side of the line. Their economic value and their employees are likely coming from Warren County. But those that are in Warren County, we may look to have the LBC be a partner in whatever work we do with them. So we're gonna start meeting with them in the coming months. They're scheduling right now, trying to finalize the schedule for the very first entrepreneurial meeting that will bring net new people and net new businesses, even if they've not been successful at scaling. We have a mailing list of between 80 and 100 that will engage in that event. And then the advisory board invitations all went out. And we've already started getting positive feedback on many of them.
About 5 minutes. So
These are mostly small business people who we don't believe are well represented in the current EDC structure. Some of them are in places like healthcare, some are small retailers, some of them do unique services. I think it was 9 or 10 that we invited.
Yes.
We've already begun to get yeses from many of those. They will then form a group of people who give us feedback that can help us figure out how to help more people like that. So all the work that Bob talked about is in motion now, and we'll probably at the next meeting start to be able to share some of that feedback for you. That's it.
That's all we got. It's an interesting time for the meeting. Any other questions or comments? Any need for executive session? Seeing none, motion to adjourn. Good. Here. Very much. We are adjourned.
You would have Nate down here.
No, I got this.
Way quicker. Maybe.
That you said you're talking.